Hello everybody and welcome to the D.G.S.R Sim Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione League race here at Spa. This is the last race weekend in the league, and as a reminder, here's how the weekend goes. The races get a 20-minute practice, followed by a 15-minute qualifying session, then a first race of 20 minutes. Then they have a second qualifying of 10 minutes, and a final race of 30 minutes. Let's have a look at the grid for this first race. In P1, we have Morris, followed by Long in P2. In P3, we have Barros, followed by McElligott in P4. In P5, we have Pichon, followed by Sanchez in P6. In P7, we have Worley, followed by Daly in P8. In P9, we have Raiola, followed by Hale in P10. In P11, we have Joswick, followed by Stevens in P12. In P13, we have Durand, followed by Norton in P14. In P15, we have Toblerone, followed by Speaking Leash in P16. In P17, we have Valesen, followed by DL in P18. In P19, we have Askham, followed by Engel in P20. And finally, we have Hillier in P21, followed by Ridge in P22. You join me then as the leaders just get underway to go around La Source before they start this 20-minute race here at Spa. We've got Morris and Long heading up the grid. Bit of an odd start at Spa, because obviously the start line is different to the finish line. As the pack starts to bunch up a little bit. Let's go a little bit further down to have a look at this race. Riding. And away we go, green flags, and we're away. Looks like Morris and Barros both after good starts, as is Raiola. Oh, Worley's hit by Daly, and Daly also goes wide. He's going to stop to let Worley carry on. That's an unfortunate start through Eau Rouge and Radion, but the rest of the pack manages to head off quite nicely. Looks like Toblerone, let's jump on board so we can actually see. Looks like Toblerone fighting Norton and I think is that Valesen as well? Yeah, Valesen, Toblerone, Speaking Leash, Norton are already quite close to each other. Riding on board at the moment with Valesen. So we head through Les Combes and down to Bruxelles. Apologise for any pronunciations as we start. Let's jump to the front of the grid and see how it's going in the front. So we've got Morris, who's just heading through Puan, I think. Followed quite closely by Long and Barros. So all off to decent starts. McElligott still in P4. He's got Sanchez for company as he goes through Puan. Behind them then we've got Pichon, who's got Hale close behind him. Stevens has got Raiola, it looks like, for company. So I'll ride on board with them for a little bit. Raiola goes a touch wide. Through Corb Paul Frere. Again, apologise for any pronunciation. We head through Blanchimont. Lifts a little bit to make sure he doesn't go into the back. Ooh, what's happened there? Big pileup. Ooh, what's happened there? Let's have a look. That was Long, I think. So they go through Blanchimont. Quite close together, Barros and Long. Barros, I'm not quite sure what happens there. I think Long comes across in front of Barros a little bit, although Barros could have backed off. Long goes flying. Sanchez tries to avoid Long, hits him. Not a lot he could have done there. And a number of cars managed to pull through. Long having a bit of damage there on the side. So that's going to cost him a few places as Joswick looks to try and get around him as well. I think that's Raiola in front of him. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Let's have a look, jump to the back. Let's have a look at Engel, who's close on the heels of Hillier as they go through La Source. Down turn 2 into Eau Rouge and Radion. Lifts a little bit there. Oh, his Barros is taking a tumble there as well. So what's happened here? So he's gone through Eau Rouge and Radion. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's just lost it. Yep. Just tries to keep it away from cutting the curb and loses it through Radion. That's a shame for him. Alright, let's have a look at this little group. So we've got Stevens, Pichon and Hale all riding pretty close together. Now up into P5 after Barris's spin at Eau Rouge. Stevens got a little time there, taking that corner a bit too tightly. Takes Bruxelles in second gear, interesting. I always comment on the fact that it's incredibly different in different cars, which gears you go through certain corners with. Let's jump back to Joswick, who looked like he'd be going close up the behind Long, but Long goes wide there through P1. That's going to give Joswick the opportunity to catch him back up a little bit. As we head now through Campus and Stavelot. And Pool Frere. Making sure the car doesn't oversteer. Lovely through there. Not quite. Looks like Long's matching his pace at the moment. Let's jump then behind them. So we've got a pack from P9 to P12. So we've got Valessen, Lerone, Norton, yep, Durand, and I think that's Joswick in front of them, all quite close together. Let's jump to the car of Durand. Oh, Norton actually, sorry. They go through La Source. Norton takes it a little wide. Durand gets a better exit. Fortunately, Toblerone doesn't get much better exit either. Head through Eau Rouge and Radion. Ooh, is that Sanchez? It looks like. What's happening there? Oh, so he's come out of pits after damage. And he's just stopped on the pit lane. Okay. Bit odd. Should really be the responsibility of the drivers to avoid him coming out of the pit lane, but as long as he stays behind the white line, he should be fine. I'd argue it's more dangerous there, personally, but... Right, let's have a look. Let's have a look at the rundown then. So we've got Morris now in P1. Getting a good lead now after the crash with Barros and Long. McCallagher comfortably in P2. A couple seconds behind him, he's got Hale, who's got Pichon for close company in P4. Not long behind them, we've also got Stevens and Raiola also putting pressure on each other. P7 then we've got Long, who's catching up as well with the pack. He's going to work hard to try and gain his position back. Behind them in P8 we've got Joswick. Behind Joswick we've got Durand, who's battling with Norton and Toblerone on his tail. Toblerone getting very close to Norton there. Behind then we've got Valessen running a good race. Yeah, one of his better races so far. He didn't have a particularly great qualifying, but managing to keep in P12, which is really good. Behind him, speaking leash, Askham in P14. Behind him, Hillier in P15. Hillier looks like he's got Ridge for company actually in P16, and Engel I think is down in P17. Oh no, Engel's in front of Hillier, sorry, P15. Hillier's P16, Ridge is P17. Then behind them, then we've got Barros in P18 after his spin at Eau Rouge. DL in P19. Wally back in P20, not having a particularly good race. Started in P7. And way behind Wally, we've got Sanchez, who's pitted for damage. And finally, Daly, who's in the pits currently. Right, then let's have a look at Ridge then, who's chasing Hillier down. And we'll also have Barros for company soon. Heads through over Rouge, takes it wide. Hillier goes very wide. So that puts Ridge up into P16. And he's going to be chasing down Engel next. I think Barros is still behind Hillier, so Hillier's managed to stay in front of Barros. Barros taking Eau Rouge very carefully there to ensure that he doesn't repeat the last race. As I think Hillier overtakes Ridge there. They go side by side down the Kemmel Straight. And Hillier's just got the speed through Eau Rouge to be able to carry him through. We head now into Lacombe. Always, Ridge goes for the dive bomb. Doesn't work out for him. Ends up having to cut the corner, and he's going to wait for Hillier, I think. No, doesn't quite. Yeah, he's going to wait for Hillier to make sure Hillier gets the position. Oh, as Barros gets through as well there. What's happened there? So Ridge has gone deep, cut the corner. Hillier's oversteered. Barros has tried to overtake Ridge, missed. Ridge has gone to the side to make sure Barros and Hillier go through. All very gentlemanly. All very gentlemanly, although I think Ridge would have been forgiven to have carried on there with Hillier oversteering. So Barros now up into P16, I think, and he's going to be chasing Engel down. As Wally now is chasing DL for P20. Let's jump to the top of the grid, where we've got Pichon and Hale still battling together. In fact, I think Pichon was in front of Hale at some point. It's been behind him for a while. They lost him on the Kemmel Straight, unfortunately. Let's have a look at Raiola, who's catching Long now, who's in P5. Raiola's catching him as they go through Lacombe. And then through Bruxelles. Down through turn 12 into P1. Turn 11, sorry, into P1. Goes up to third, interestingly. I think that means Long's going to have... Maybe the Aston Martin goes a bit better through there, because I know the Aston Martin that Long drives will stay in fourth probably through P1. But he manages to stick with them with a later braking, I think. But Long now coming on the back of Pichon, who's battling with Hale. It's possible that Long's going to be able to get some positioning back. I've just realised that McElligot's back in P8. What happened there? So he's going down the Kemmel Straight. He's fine. Goes through Lacombe. Also fine. Down through Bruxelles. Then turn 11. Is it P1 that he loses it? Yeah, P1, yeah. That's a difficult corner because you have to make sure that you brake hard enough, but you also don't want to be turning too much when you brake because then you'll just skid and lose the back end like he's done there. So that's where McElligott lost a few places. So that's Durand coming past him there, so all the way down to P10 at that point. So he's got some work to do to catch up with the pack. Let's have a look. Norton very close behind Toboro now after McElligott comes back into their pack. As they go through Corb, Paul Frere. And Blanchemont keeps it flat, nice. Oh man, I said it before, seriously, the sound of that Porsche in 6th gear. Whew. Not nice on the ears. It goes a little wide through the bus stop chicane. Just going to give Toblerone the opportunity to get away from him a little bit. McElligott goes a little wide there, hits the curb, which is going to give Toblerone the opportunity to get on the back of him. But he's going to be careful because he's got to go through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's gonna lift to make sure he doesn't have a problem. Probably lifted a little too much, but oh, Stevens is on the side of the road there. What's happened there? Ah, he's just lost it through Radion, similar to Barros. Done well to keep it off the wall. Done well to keep it off the wall, and that's a shame for him. He's dropping all the way back now. So now we've got Norton. Let's have a look at Worley, who I think has overtaken DL now. Let's have a look at that. So they go side by side through the source. And Worley's going to go. And then I think Sanchez is behind them. Let's have a look as these three go through Eau Rouge and Radion. Keeping it tidy. Sanchez has got two Aston Martins to deal with. But I think Sanchez at this point is a lap behind. So I'm not quite sure what happens there. And he's got to be careful as he goes past DL here. As Worley is catching Barros up now, I think. Barros and Ridge. As Ridge takes it quite wide through turn 11. Worley's going to brake a little later than Barros, but a little harder, as Barros seems to be struggling a bit. He's all over the place. Might have picked up some damage. Look at him shaking. What's going on there? Must be struggling with the steering. Head through Cove, Paul Frere. Ooh, snap of oversteer there. But he's managing to stay with Barros. In fact, he's gaining on Barros. As he heads side by side as they go into Blanchemont. And what happened to Barros there? So they go side by side through Blanchemont, and Barros maybe not used to the line has lost the back end and gone wide, and that's allowed Sanchez and DL to sweep past. Sanchez still a lap behind though. Sanchez getting the blue flag. As Barros is behind him. Let's follow these guys once more through Radion, Eau Rouge and the Kemmel Straight. It's becoming an interesting battle for P17, and Sanchez gets a lot more speed through down the Kemmel Straight than DL. Bit of neck code there. Oh, and Sanchez gets hit and takes out Wally. What happened there? So he comes in front of DL, gets hit from behind, hits the barrier, and plows straight into Wally. That is unfortunate. That's a big hit. That's going to be unfortunate for the both of them. What's mental about that crash, though, is Sanchez is a lap behind. So this is DL. Sanchez comes straight before him, right before the braking point. That is not a good idea. Right, let's go have a look at the top of the grid then. Long is now in P4, catching Pichon, who's still behind Hale in P2 and P3. Long doing well to get back up to P4 after having a bit of a crash with Barros near the beginning. Well, it looks like he was going to be trying to make the overtake on Pichon at some point in the next few laps, next few turns. If he can stay with him. Mercedes tends to be pretty quick in the straight. Staying with him in the Aston Martin. Gets a better line, I would say, through Blanchimont. He's not gonna try and get him under braking through bus stop, although he gets very close behind him, putting on a lot of pressure there. Well, he's got a lot of pressure from Raiola behind him as well. Looks like Pichon gets a better exit out of bus stop as they head now into turn 1. La Source takes a nice and wide, cuts in, and this is where we see the Mercedes might just get away from him. Oh, and it goes quite wide through there. Be lucky if he doesn't get a warning for that. But nevertheless, he's going to make the move around Pichon and down into Lacombe as they go side by side through the corner. But I think Long's just about pushed ahead. Pichon's still battling for that position. But I think Long has made the move stick, and Long now back up into P3. So only lost one position from where he started. Let's have a quick look at Joswick, who's now riding behind Raiola quite closely, who's behind the duo that we were just looking at. Quite a close battle for, P3 for a podium place quite late in the race. We normally have the front runners away for quite some time, but people have been losing it over Radion, No Rouge, etc. Made this race a little bit more interesting than usual. Well, actually, it looks like Raiola's going to be chasing Pichon now as they head through Blanchimont. Raiola in a similar position that Long was in the other lap. He takes it out wide. Just gonna interesting concept. Maybe just had a bit too much speed. Gets on the power a little bit earlier, but the Mercedes is going to pull away from him. There we go. Be interesting to see what happens. So it was through a Rouge and Radion that Long gained all that time on Pichon. Can Raiola do the same? He's going to go a bit wide, which means he's going to have to lift. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to make the move this time around. Let's jump back to Joswick, who is going to make the move around Raiola. As he goes into Lacombe. Ooh, little bit of a slide there. That was a bit of a tricky one. Let's have a bit of a look at that. He comes up the inside. Oh, they did well not to collide there. That was a bit of a risky move there from D.G.S.R, but he's made the move stick. Raiola now down into P4, P6. But he's going to be looking to try and get that position back. Let's go now then to Stevens, who's on the back of Ridge, or at least he was. Oh! I'm sorry, mate. Just happened to switch over as he lost it through Radion yet again in this race. That's unfortunate for him. Allows Barros and I think DL to come past. Let's jump then to Engel, who's on the back of Askham as they go through Bruxelles. Takes it a little slow, a little wide, a little slow through there. What's he in? An Aston Martin here. We go through P1. Oh, Askham takes it very wide through P1, but perhaps keeps the power down a little better than Engel, so he's going to stay ahead. Engel looking at the inside. So we go through Corv Paul Frere. Had to remember it again. So it's these sort of last few corners, and then heading into. It's the Kemmel Straight that a lot of the overtaking seems to happen on this track. Either that, or Les Source or the bus stop. Big braking zones. But if you can get a better exit out of Eau Rouge and Radion, then it normally gives you a good stead to overtake on the Kemmel Straight. Engel then getting close behind Askham as they go through La Source. Takes it a little too wide, has a snap of oversteer. Might give Askham a little bit of breathing space as they go through Eau Rouge and Radion. Lifts a little, hits the curb, goes a little over the corner there. He's not going to have the speed there to catch up with Askham on the Kemmel Straight. Right, let's have a quick rundown then of the grid. So in Morris still in P1 with a 10-second lead. Hale in P2, followed incredibly closely by P Long. In fact, it might be worth following this for a little bit. Longer looks up the inside on the exit of P1. They're going to be side by side, not quite side by side. Long backs out before going through campus and Stavelot. Hale trying hard to defend there. So they head through Paul Frere. Long takes the curb a little bit. Hale goes a little wide, but not too wide. A bit far away, I think, to be within striking distance after that sector 3. Oh, and that is the end of the race, I think. Wow, okay. I always forget how short 20 minutes is. So, the results then. Unsurprisingly, Morris, in P1. Hale managing to get into P2. Long managing to take the P3 spot, finishing off the podium. Hishon in P4. Joswick P5. Raiola P6. P7 we have Toblerone. Very good race there. Norton in P8. Valesin in P9. Very good race for him. He started near the back of the grid. Durand in P10, Speaking Leash in P11, McKelligot unfortunately down in P12, Askham in P13, Engel in P14, Ridge in P15, DL again with a very good race in P16, Barros unfortunately down in P17, Stevens down in P18, Hillier in P19, Worley, unfortunately, in P20. And Sanchez and Daly both DNF. Right, well that concludes the first race in the weekend. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you check out the second race if you haven't already. And without further ado, thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.